It's our Tuesday night edition of Thanksgiving Night Live. No, it's Tuesday Night Live, Thanksgiving week, I should say. And joined by my colleague Tom Dienhart as we're going to talk a little Purdue football, take your chat questions as well. Want to thank our sponsor. We're thankful for them on this Thanksgiving week. That, of course, is acrepro.com. When it comes to land sales, it pays to have experts in your corners. Like Tom Dienhart, that's what I think. And it's AcrePro Midwest Farm Group are your local farmland specialists with decades of experience in Indiana agriculture. No one knows the market better, whether you're doing a 1031 exchange or simply buying and selling farmland. Your local AcrePro agent will walk the land with you and ensure the deal is done right. You can call Kyle Spray or the gang at AcrePro at 765-775-6502 or talk to your local land expert. Again, that number will post here throughout our little Tuesday Night Live. But it is Thanksgiving week. It's all condensed. The Boilermakers still are going to be waiting till Saturday night in the first ever bucket game at night. Can you believe that? Yeah, it's the first time it's ever – well, it's been played in darkness, of course, this time of year, but it has never been a night game as far as what I can recall. Like I said, there have been some good ones. Tom, let's talk some football first. And then we'll talk about the coaching situation and guess like about everybody else. But Tom's been working hard to talk to his folks. But, all right, Purdue, Indiana, the Boilermakers at also an unprecedented level of, 25-point underdog. I know you've done some research on that. Everyone points – you and I are pointing to that 35 years ago game, 1989. Purdue had no chance down there in theory. That was not a good team. Fred Akers was on the cusp of losing his job. He won that game in a 15-14 win over Indiana. Stopped Anthony Thompson from winning the Heisman Trophy, stopped Indiana going to a bowl game, and, of course, spawned some shirts that Purdue produced over the years. I don't know if we got the same thing. Indiana seems to be a little bit more salty this year. That's an understatement. The Hoosiers sitting at 10-1 and staring right at the college football playoff. You think, Tom, that they could have a little bit of a letdown. I can remember games, and we've all seen games where you put so much into a game at Ohio State. They were not as competitive as they would have liked to have been. They did get out to a lead, but lost that one, 38-15 was the final. And my point is, Tom, the only problem for Purdue is Indiana desperately needs to win to ensure its spot. And we can debate that, but I think they're looking pretty good based on some of the losses last week, Ole Miss going down, et cetera, that Indiana is looking in pretty good shape.
Yeah. I think, the SEC sort of imploding to a degree last Saturday with Ole Miss losing and Alabama losing, I think benefited Indiana quite a bit. And without a doubt, the rankings come out tonight. I think Indiana's going to still be in. And they win Saturday, they're in for sure, I think. So, so be it. That's life, right? Congrats to IU. I'm tired of talking about IU.
I know. We've talked way too much.
But again, maybe I'm jealous deep down, right? But anyway, it's a heck of a story. You have to tip your hat to them. So, yeah, I think they're going to get in here. But then, your original point, Alan, was talking about, could Purdue upset them? Of course, that would change everything for IU, obviously. And, boy, one of the biggest upsets in Purdue history. We talked about this.
I would agree it would be. And considering the circumstances, it absolutely would be. But go ahead.
Fortunately, we've been talking about Purdue being a heavy underdog a lot this year. I know earlier this year we talked about the 1974 Notre Dame game being the biggest upset Purdue's ever pulled. What was the line in that one, Alan?
35 plus. And that is a rarity. If you look at that over the breadth of college football, it doesn't happen very often. It's about a 1 in 1,000 chance, basically.
So but there's a chance. There
is a chance. They say there's a chance, right?
Indiana's offense, I know that was Ohio State, but I think their offensive line is maybe it's just an okay line. I think the quarterback is just okay, but Purdue's defense is awful. So anyway, it's going to take the perfect game. We've gone through this before, Alan. It's going to take multiple turnovers by Indiana. They're going to almost beat themselves probably, and maybe probably a special team score by Purdue or a defensive score by Purdue, something to that ilk. And Purdue's going to have to run the ball too. They got to just somehow keep away from Indiana for extended stretches. So we all know there's a possibility. It's going to be slim. That's going to be a crazy atmosphere down there, Alan. It's going to be packed. The fans, maybe the biggest game in IU history. Maybe the biggest game.
Hard to argue.
Yeah,
for a college football playoff.
College football playoff, go 11, beat your rival, go 11-1. I mean, it's going to be bananas. So, we'll see. We'll see if Purdue can at least hang in there and make a game of it. But yeah, I don't know if I have too much more to say on the field this year, Alan. I mean, it is what it is. Beating a dead horse. We know the issues this team has. There are many, especially on defense. And now in the special teams every week, it seems like it's something, right? And we saw the botched hold last week.
Yeah.
The kick hits the long snapper in the back of the head.
Yeah.
Add to the folly loop this year with Dylan Morissette catching a touchdown pass out of bounds. Not fielding a kickoff earlier this year at Illinois, the muff punt at Wisconsin, the block punt earlier. Anyway, it's been a long year, and I think we're all ready for it to end. Everybody wants to turn the page and really see what's next, to see if Purdue can get this thing back on track.
Indiana, one thing that we did notice, the second favorite thing I like to do, I obviously like to look at the line and see how that changed, though I don't gamble. But I do. The other thing is StubHub prices. Now you're going to have to bring your mittens down there and your winter coat as you make your way from the parking lot to the. That is not a elite, and I don't think it's changed since you've been there last. It's not exactly from a press standpoint, press box, the little elevator, and you better get in line at the right time. But temperatures at game time in the 20s, so it is going to be cold down there. It'll dampen things a little bit. Ticket prices have gone down some, and there are some for sale, but they're still, like you said, it's going to be the rare of rarefied air for Indiana, and the fact that the Hoosiers have a chance to do that. But you're right. Enough talking about them. It is that, and it certainly has got to be. Now, what did you make though last week? And Purdue certainly was able to throw the ball. And could have been a lot more effective had it just made some catches in the fourth quarter and the second half, certainly. And of course, the Jamal Edrin one is probably the most. It is the most pronounced, and I think the poor kid is still dealing with that. At least he was. Brian Walters said on Monday he was, but Purdue did throw the ball a little bit more. Indiana, Ohio State did a little bit of both, and I'm not comparing Ohio State to Purdue, but even in the cold, is that they try to get that running game going, but maybe it's makes some sense to do what they did last week against Michigan State and air it out a little bit. I know again it's going to be a cold night there, but it was cold at Michigan State last week too.
Yeah, the last 4 games Purdue's not run for 100 yards, Alan.
Yeah,
and again that was the case in East Lansing Friday night. They quickly abandoned the run, went to the pass. Smart move. And like you said, it's probably going to have to be more of the same if they want any shots Saturday night. Going to have to ride the arm of Hudson Card, who had his second 300-yard passing game as a Boilermaker. Of course, his only other one was against Syracuse, a couple blocks from where I'm sitting last fall, and that was a loss to the Orange and Dino Babers that day. So, and you're right. The plays were there last week to be made. Maybe Purdue wins that game. I still think Purdue has some nice weapons at wide receiver. Jamal Edrin, God bless him. Remember, he made a really nice one-handed catch earlier in that game. It was pass interference, and he still made the catch. And that's a kid, even today, Alan, after practice. He's always one of the last guys off the field. He's working on the jugs machine right behind us. He's been doing that all year. So this is a guy that really does kill him not to play well. And he works. I know he works hard. I know he wants to do well. And it was especially tough to see a guy like that not make a play when it's there to be made. So the game's probably going to ride on the arm of Hudson Card. Can they protect him, Alan? Can they figure out ways to get the ball out of his hands quickly? And then big plays, right? You always have to have big plays if you're going to win games like this. You're going to have to score on those 40 or 50-yard plays. And We'll see if they can strike downfield and maybe have some of those big chunk gainers against that IU defense.
What'd you make last week, though? And again, Michigan State has struggled offensively, and but Purdue did shut them down pretty much after the first half of giving up 24 points. They had four 3-and-outs in a row, I believe it was. But what'd you make of that? Just it looked like they kept containment a little bit again. And again, Michigan State doesn't have a ton of weapons back there, but the quarterback's pretty good. But what do you think?
Yeah, shut them out in the second half, and there was a lot to build on there. They got some tackles for loss. They got pressure on a very athletic quarterback. They didn't give up really any big plays, Alan.
Yeah,
and they made Michigan State earn what they got. So it was 24-3 at halftime, and they got things buttoned up. And like I said, in the second half, pitched the shutout, and 3 times, Alan, in the second half, that defense got off the field, gave the ball back to the offense, down 1 touchdown, chance to at least tie the score. 3 times the offense was unable to advance the ball and score a touchdown. So that's all you can ask for, right? I mean, you would like to see a better job in the first half. And Alan Karpick, every week we talk about the slow starts.
And
it's never been cured. I've lost count of how much they've been outscored in the first quarter, like 90-13, I think. Yeah, I know they scored 1 touchdown in the first quarter.
I'm going to look that up while you're working here because I got my game notes in front of me, but it is unbelievable.
I think it's 90-13, 1 touchdown Indiana State, 2 field goals. The last 10 games, they've scored 2 field goals. And someone, I can't remember the stats, someone told me that the offense has only taken the field with the lead for 9 minutes this year. I mean, it's some crazy stat.
Since game 1, since
game 1, just unbelievable. So these perpetual slow starts have just put the whole program behind from the get-go all year.
Yeah, I think and what's so frustrating, and it has been a killer all year, and that has been also the touchdowns right before the half. Now, a lot of games it's been multiple touchdowns in the last 5 minutes of a half, but even that touchdown at the end of the half, some questionable decisions or whatever. Things didn't work out. Michigan State gets a score, and 17-3 isn't good, but 24-3. You got to remember one thing in the history of Purdue football. Purdue has never come from a 20-point deficit to win a football game, if you can believe that. And they had a chance last week. But my point is that extra touchdown's a killer in that situation.
Yeah. They almost did it at Illinois.
Yep.
Big comeback in the second half there as well.
They had a chance there.
Huge comeback. But it's again, those starts have just killed them all year. The dealing with adversity, right?
Yeah.
The ability to deal with adversity has really been lacking most of this year. And the personnel issues have been many. I think especially on defense up front. The rush defense has been very bad most of the year. Pass rush has been inconsistent. The secondary, the coverage in the back end has been spotty at best. A lot of penalties, a lot of poor angles, a lot of missed tackles. On and on it goes, Al. And then lastly, takeaways. Once again, 0 takeaways. I think they've got 5 takeaways.
5 for the year.
I think they've recovered 1 fumble. I think they have 3 or 4 interceptions. So
think about that. Dylan Thieneman had 6 interceptions last year. Now he had 2 in the bucket game, right? But still, that number is it's historic, and really everything. Unfortunately, no Purdue team has lost 11 games in a row in the same season, and we had to go back and do some cipher. 1906 to 1908, I think it was, that Purdue had last lost 11 in a row. So these are all numbers that make it crazy.
Never in one season.
That is correct. Never in one season. They did lose 10 in a row back in 2013. I think they lost 9 in a row in 1993, if I recall. All right, we have some. We'll go to the real topic, not the only topic, but the topic everybody's talking about. And that, of course, is the coaching situation. And nobody's been closer to it than Tom, but it's still an interesting thing. We'll get Tom's talk on this as we answer some of these questions. Nolan asked Pete Nakos from On 3 saying Walter's trending to return means for sure Walter's returning next year or no. And I think the words trending to return leaves it pretty much up for debate. Tom, what say you on that?
Yeah, that's sort of been the sort of been the vibe I've been getting for a few weeks as well. And all signs pointed to him returning, was sort of how I always tried to phrase it or talk about it, leaning toward, trending toward. And I guess right now, Alan, is 6:15 Eastern time on November 26th. I still think that's probably the best way to phrase things. That doesn't say it's a done deal without any question. It's not a done deal. Mike Bobinski keeps things very buttoned up, as he should. I mean, we know he's working behind the scenes. So, yeah, right now I think it's trending toward. I think there's a move to enhance his resources, to hire a staff and compensate them better. And I know for a fact, Alan, they have vetted offensive coordinators. And I know for a fact that list is down to 2 or 3 people. And I reported this week they have talked to Jamarcus Shepard. I'm not saying there's a difference between talking to somebody and saying that they're a true candidate.
You're right.
Shepard. I know they had a conversation with Brian Brom. I don't think it was a real serious conversation, but I know they at least have crossed paths and talked. I don't think he's a serious contender, but I think he's a guy they've spoken with. So we'll see. I know we mentioned Yurcich, the old offensive coordinator at Penn State and Oklahoma State. Texas, worked at Ohio State as a quarterback's coach, as a guy they've talked to. So I know they've kicked the tires on some coordinators. And that's really about the most solid information I have. And when will we learn his fate? When will Mike Bobinski go public? This Sunday, out of this Monday. Signing day's a week from tomorrow, December 4th. So I think a lot of people need to know what's going on. Staffers are back. And first of all, we know, is Ryan Walters back? Sure. But again, right now, I think it's trending toward him coming back with a revised staff. But there could always be a change in those plans about Bobinski, and maybe everybody goes.
I got to answer this quick from Q. Somebody having a party. We have a house full of children that have come home for Thanksgiving. So, but they're behaving in the background. So we're not having a big party. Okay. Other questions here. Jim Garfinkel, a regular writer, and Tom reported another decommit around the corner. I think Tom will keep his sources close to the vest. But
it's coming. I was told. I try to do what I'm told. I don't want to make people upset. And I was told not to say who it is until Thursday. The kid's supposed to announce on Thursday that he's decommitted. And I'll just say this: it's a kid he's been committed for a while.
Yeah.
And I think if you follow this side at all, you can probably figure out who it is. And then there may be a chance for another kid decommit. You know, over the weekend, the most recent commitment, the linebacker from Wayne High School in Fort Wayne, Indiana, took a visit to NC State. I'm hearing he may be going to the Wolfpack. So maybe that there could be 2 decommitments coming. So, yeah, the other kid I'm talking about, like I said, it's one that hurts. But again, I'm just trying to be respectful, and I at least wanted to give people on the board a heads up. Not that I like to be the bearer of bad news, and that is shocking news if there's another decommitment, but just to kind of let you know what's going on, and just again kind of what Purdue's up against here.
All right, another question: if Coach Ryan Walters gets a third season, will the OC and DC be completely his hires, or will the AD office be giving him names to pick from? That's a question I don't know that, at least I don't know that we have an answer to. I'm sure they're getting help from this situation. What's your sense, Tom?
I think Bobinski is having a hand in everything.
Yeah,
I think he's got a hand in everything. This isn't going to be something that's just Ryan Walters does and gets rubber stamped. Whatever's done, Bobinski's fingerprints are going to be on it as well. We all know what's at stake here. Nobody more so than Mike Bobinski. This program seems to me, Alan, to be in a similar spot as it was back in 2016.
Yeah.
When it was in an inferno under Daryl Hazel. Bobinski's hired in August of 16, fires Hazel in October of that fall. Everybody knows the disarray Purdue football was at that point. Bobinski had to make a home run hire he couldn't miss, and he didn't by hiring Jeff Ryan. And correct me if you think I'm wrong, if I'm out of context, Alan. Does this seem similar?
Yeah, I think it does. I think the one difference is that you're and it brings into question. I don't think it's as big a factor about the Mike Babinski's longevity and how much longer he's going to do this and that impact and on if you have to hire another coach, what that will matter. Are they trying to line the stars up so that fits better? I don't sense that that's the case from people I've talked to, that they're really trying to, in other words, you're going to keep Ryan Walters and then Mike Babinski will resign over a period of time so you can bring a new AD in before you hire the next guy. I don't sense that. I think the college football world has changed, but I do agree that there are some similarities certainly to 2016 and it's, and again, in our world too, we've got, comments like this with Cooper Inman. I'm a student, and the only reason I buy tickets for football is to get into basketball games, maybe. And there's no doubt that you're going to have to look at that question of what it will do to season ticket sales or ticket sales altogether. I get that. In that calculation, you can only speculate what that will do. Right now, yeah, it doesn't look good. But you're a great one. You're famous favorite sayings, which is so true. It's never as bad as it seems and never as good as it seems. It doesn't seem very good, and I'm not trying to paint a better picture. I'm just saying that it's not an easy decision because we get back to the whole notion. It doesn't look good to have to terminate somebody after 2 years. I know places have done it, and we've seen it, and I think you're right about this. I think we'll know everything we need to know on Sunday of whether we get a press release or just a comment in post game or whatever that will be, that we're going to honor his contract or we're moving on. And I think that
don't
could
you
be
think,
the case.
Alan, if he is retained, don't we think we need to hear more from Mike Babinski beyond press release? I don't think they can just send us a press release. I think we need a thorough explanation. We need to be able to ask questions. I may be wrong, and that doesn't mean they have to do that. They can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't want to answer questions. They're just going to send out a release telling us what they're doing, and that's it. Could be something as simple as that. So I do know this, they are planning on having a press conference for signing day on Wednesday. So there you go. Somebody's going to have to be in charge of that press conference when whatever commits are left to sign will sign on Wednesday. So I was told today, I asked, are you going to have a signing day press conference? I was told yes, we're probably going to have it on Wednesday afternoon.
Well, I will say this too, and I think you're right too. I think Mike would want to say his piece in this situation too, and what all went in and why. He was willing to talk to us a few weeks ago. Not that he said a whole lot, but he did say some things that Mike's pretty strategic on how he talks, but and because he's good at what he does, and from that standpoint, and I think that is the money, he said, but at that time money wasn't the factor, and that losing football is not an option. So those are two things that stick with me as this process continues. I think it is going to be an interesting situation, and I have a sense that you're right, that he'll be available to make some comments. I would be surprised to some extent if he's not. It does need to be decided, like you said. Its time is of the essence here. Mm-hmm. You can't, because right now you have to think, and not that if you're a Purdue fan, you don't want this to happen, but Dylan Thieneman, Max Clare, those guys, even though I know Dylan Thieneman comes from a Purdue family, you have to think that everybody and their uncle is talking to those guys about the opportunities at other places. And Max Clare has shown that he can play with about anybody, in my view. And probably Dylan Thieneman may have not had the season that he did as a freshman. Okay. But there's a lot of programs that would like him, and there are others too that could go. It's just going to be. We keep saying this, and is that leading into June 30th, and supposedly when the House settlement begins, there may be complete and utter chaos. And that, I don't know how that weighs into the decision that Mike Babinski and company have to make, but it is a factor, because there's all kinds of things that can happen between now and June 30th that can affect your player personnel. You got to put a team on the field, and a good one. If you're gonna retain Ryan Walters, you'd expect to be better next year somehow, and that's going to be a challenge.
Yeah, December 9th, the portal opens up, so that's Monday, the Monday week from this coming Monday. So that's something to It sort of hastens the need for some type of clarity as to the leadership of the program and what the staff is going to look like. Because nobody's going to want to jump to obviously a school where they don't know what the staff looks like. They don't know who's going to coach them. They don't know what the offense or defense is going to look like. So indeed, if this thing is moving the direction we think it's moving, again, toward Walters coming back with new coordinators, we need to know something here in the next 5-6 days. So we're all eager to see where they go from there, Alan. And you're right. You talked about NIL. Some of the players, the portal decisions, Thieneman, Will Helt, Max Clare, Devin Maccabee, even Jamal Edrin. There's about, I think I wrote my little 3-2-1 today. I put my list of about 12 guys I'd want to keep. Some guys are still younger guys I know they like Jaden Ball and Bakeem Coley, offensive linemen that they think have a lot of potential. Joey Tanone is a guy I don't think he lose either. It could be a real contributor for you down the stretch. Kendrick Breedlove, I think, has shown me something as a transfer from Colorado. So there's probably 10 to 12 guys I think I'd want to try to keep, and it's not going to be cheap. And, man, the stakes keep going up, Alan, like it or not. You're going to have to pay some cash to retain players and to get good players. It's not cheap. Indiana's done it. I know I've had a lot of people tell me Indiana's paying very well. I think much better than Purdue. Will Purdue step up its NIL game? We'll see. We'll see how this revenue sharing, if that does indeed level the playing field at all between these schools or not.
Yeah. All right. There'll be a day when we won't be talking about coaching situations or a 1-10 season. But Tom, we appreciate your tenacity and your ability, your perseverance through all this. It's you're doing your job, and we appreciate that very much. We do, and everybody along the line wish you all a happy Thanksgiving. And we look forward to we'll continue our Tuesday or Wednesday night lives throughout basketball season. Not every week, but we will do a handful of them once we get Mr. Newbert to and we'll talk some football also. Obviously, there'll be some timely things that who knows what we'll be talking about a couple of weeks from now. But we appreciate the folks at acrepro.com for making this happen. It's a good chance for me and Tom to talk some football for a half hour. So that always is a nice thing for me. All right. I want to thank
everybody for coming by and watching, asking questions. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. Good crowd tonight, too. And we make that time. We move our time around a little bit, but we appreciate you accommodating on Tuesday night. Now, we will have a pregame show, Golden Back Radio, which will air on Friday. And we're going to do it Friday, actually. So, and of course, Tom will be down in Brian Newell will be is on his way to San Diego. He'll be covering the Rady Children's Invitational as Purdue takes on North Carolina State at 3:30. I believe it is on Thanksgiving Day. And then we'll take on either Ole Miss or the Fighting Cannon Catchings of BYU in Game 2. And that one will be at Friday, depending on whether the Boilermakers beat North Carolina State. So lots to look at the site. We appreciate that. Also, Black Friday, if you haven't subscribed, we have a special still. It's a flash sale that we've kind of moved over into a Black Friday sale. It's a really good deal to become a member. A great gift. If you need that gift for a Purdue fan, think about goldenblack.com. Tom and Brian's work. There's a lot of it there. A lot of stuff to sit and get into Knucklehead Central and chew the fat with everybody, because it's being chewed on a daily, if not hourly basis. So, all right, well, that's the end of my pitch for today. Thanks again to acrepro.com and Kyle Spray. Happy Thanksgiving, all. We'll see you, if not next week, the following week on another edition of Tuesday and or Wednesday Night Live. Have a good Thanksgiving, everybody.